No, they separate us.
Yeah, apparently we were talking too much there, sir.
I think so. Tony, I want to meet you.
I swear, we were not up there talking. I did not need us to separate.
Okay, folks, we'll get started. Want to take the opportunity to welcome you all back from lunch. I hope it was a great lunch. At the end of the day today, you'll be going over to the governor's home at the mansion, so I hope you all can make the reception at the end of today. But just to really appreciate the fact of everybody coming and taking time out of your very, very busy schedules and traveling up here. A lot of work has been done, the input and discussions this morning, and even some work preemptively has been done to identify some issues where the state can better serve active duty personnel, veterans, and their families. And that was the whole point of today. What the governor wants to do is not just have an event, but to walk away with deliverables, walk away with action items that can be put into play almost immediately. So I'd like to take the moment just to turn over to Colonel Eric Hesse, who is our veterans leader for the state. I think the Colonel will take the ball and go through an overview of the work that's been done so far and what's going to happen with the state. Colonel?
So again, thank you. And again, thanks to the folks that are here today to be part of the summit. Again, it's been a great opportunity. There's been a lot of work that's gone into many of the programs from all the people around the table. And I know people have taken time from their schedule to be here today and truly make this about veterans, military members and their families, and how do we move forward as a state. And we've got a lot of great programs that'll do that. And we can't do those programs without everybody's help. I mean, that's really what this is all about. I'll apologize up front if I make some mistakes with this clicker. Hopefully that won't happen. As you saw today, there's a very large commitment from everybody that's around the table today. That's what's important. The discussions will continue well beyond what we see as what we're going to deliver today and what the state has committed to in terms of veterans, military members, and their families. We like to say we can do more. I think we should always be challenged to try to do more, whether it's for veterans, whether it's for anybody in the community. That's really important. What else can we do? I'd like to see New York State become the first state where all our veterans truly know what their benefits are. And part of working with the federal VA is to help get that word out. The American Nurses Association has a program called Have You Served? One of the things we're going to talk about is how we also become part of a program where we ask our friends, our neighbors, people who come in contact with our agencies, have you served? It's an important part of what we do. So where do we go? We've talked about some different areas that are big targets, things that we want to work on, and of course, number one is employment. And there are pieces that tie together. It's not just employment. There's education and employment. There's education that looks out for our family members, our service members, our veterans, their children in the future in terms of employment based on education. So as the governor announced this morning and was signed, the set aside of state contracts for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses and a goal of 6%. I mean, that is a great opportunity for the veterans in the state of New York. We want to expand experience counts, as Commissioner Rivera said from DOL. It's a program that the governor signed into legislation, in an executive order back in 2011. We are always looking for opportunities to expand that program. What MOSs can we get that easily convert into civilian occupation? The Troops to Energy programs, a great initiative. And Gil, do you want to say a couple more things there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Colonel Hess. Thank you again, and Really honored to join today's summit representing the New York State utilities and the independent power producers of New York, the owners of power plants in New York. Today, under the leadership of Governor Andrew Cuomo, New York launches the nation's most ambitious coordinated effort to help returning veterans learn about available jobs in the utility industry, get those jobs, and succeed in those jobs. For the first time in any state, the utilities will form a consortium with the state government to achieve these vital goals. And I'd like to recognize some of our partners in this effort. I know Lisa Smith-Clark from PSE&G is here, who is managing the utility on Long Island. Sherry Lamoureux from Iberdrola, they're the owners of New York State Electric and Gas and Rochester Gas and Electric. Gary Courtney from Central Hudson, and Jessica Reinhardt and the Con Edison team. They are here with us this afternoon, and thank you to those partners. The other utilities are National Grid, and of course the New York Power Authority. We can never sufficiently thank you, our veterans, for your service and your sacrifice, but we must do all we can to help you find a rewarding job when you return to civilian life. Our new program is closely modeled on the Troops to Energy Jobs roadmap developed by the Center for Energy Workforce Development, a national nonprofit group based in Washington that seeks to fill critical jobs in our industry. And we're happy to be working with the center's president, Mary Miller. Mary, thanks for your support. Like the center, we'll focus on outreach, recruitment, training, and support, and most importantly, on monitoring and measuring to make sure we're meeting our objectives. The Division of Veteran Affairs and the Department of Public Service will lead the effort for this state with support from the New York Power Authority. And each utility will join with SUNY, CUNY, and one or more colleges to offer training programs. We're confident this initiative will greatly benefit our veterans and the energy industry. As I've said, we have about 30,000 people that we employ today, 4% of which are currently veterans. Of those 30,000, almost 12,000 will be eligible for retirement within the next 5 years. We need qualified military veterans now so we can train them to help fill those positions. And we expect that Governor Cuomo's Energy Highway program to upgrade the state's power system and his energy policy of growing energy efficiency, clean energy, including renewable energy, will create still more jobs. We know from experience that the technical skills and aptitude that veterans bring to us are invaluable. So are the intangibles, your dedication, your pride, your integrity, your willingness to take on any challenge. And so we eagerly look forward to moving ahead with this initiative. We believe that, like our veterans, New York Troops to Energy Jobs has much to offer to this state. Thank you.
Thank you. The veteran component to the REDC, again, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to recognize businesses potentially that hire veterans, especially those veterans that are in the more difficult age groups to get reemployed, to recognize small businesses. So again, it's all about opportunity and room to grow. I was a soldier a long time before I was a veteran, and as a veteran, what I've learned is sometimes I just have to sit back and listen to hear what other people say and then figure out how can we make that work for all of us, veterans, military families, and service members in the state of New York. And lastly is the 55C eligible veterans to state job opportunities. This is about outreach. This is about getting jobs posted on the website where somebody may be reachable as a service-connected disabled veteran. And again, Commissioner Boone, thank you for your support in this program. It's a great opportunity to move forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Lieutenant Governor for allowing us to work with his REDC councils in pushing the veterans component forward. So thank you. Housing. We have a huge commitment from Sony May, $50 million for Homes for Veterans, a lending program. A great opportunity at a low interest rate, and that money is available between now and Veterans Day or until those funds are used up. It's for veterans, active duty members, Guard and reservists. We want New York to be a destination of choice for our veterans. Homeownership ties veterans to their communities, and as I said earlier, veterans make communities better. 97% financing, 15% down payment assistance, and it covers co-ops, which is big in New York City. So, sir, thank you. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. $15% would have been nice. Education, again, we can do more. There's nothing more important than educating our families, our children, our friends. You know, it's part of being able to welcome people home, welcome people back, get them readjusted, and become productive members of our society, more productive members. You know, a lot of this ties into, as I said earlier, into the economics piece. The post-9/11 GI Bill, you know, without thanking the American Legion for the original GI Bill, I mean, this new post-9/11 GI Bill is probably the best benefit a service member can leave the service with. Because not only can they use it, they can transfer it to their family members, and we can take advantage of that. The Interstate Compact for Military Children, I know that's something that General Murphy's been working on for a long time. It's something we continue to push forward. We want to get that legislation out there. We want to get that legislation passed. I had the privilege of serving with Command Sergeant Major Byers back in 10th Mountain many moons ago, I would say. But Fort Drum's a unique community. For those of you that are familiar with Fort Drum, there's a few different school systems that a military child can go to. And just moving from one side of post to the other side of the post, you may end up in a different school district. You know, and programs like this and pushing programs like this forward will help our children get back into the school system without skipping any grades, without any really disruptions, you know, in their day-to-day. So it's important. I want to thank both SUNY and CUNY for what they're doing for veterans in terms of higher education. I mean, I'm very familiar with the post-9/11 GI Bill and what it means to pay out-of-state tuition. And I think this is a fantastic program, a fantastic opportunity for the state. So thank you very much, both of you, for what you're doing. Federal benefits. Again, this is the one you see in the news all the time. This is part of why we talk about why it's so important for New York to be the first state where veterans truly know what their benefits are. It is a lot of money, potentially, that comes into the state based on compensation, based in many other things that veterans and service members who are entitled to that can bring back to the state. With the United Veterans War Council, we're working on a program where we would develop, like Texas and California has, a strike force. We would work with our federal partners to get in there and get those cases off the shelf that need help developing the claim so that we can get that claim forward out of the state into the federal system and then back to New York and help the veterans with getting that claim completed. It takes time. None of this stuff is easy. But we look forward to, again, partnering with the United War Veterans Council and the VARO to move this program forward. Vince, did you have?
Yeah, this goes to the collaboration part that I mentioned earlier. It's great to see government stepping up, but we don't believe the government can do it alone. This is sort of a societal problem, and we've asked a lot. We have men and women who have served multiple tours, and they come back and they need to be as shoehorned back into society by every point on the azimuth. And the government is going to do its job, and we appreciate what the governor is doing. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for explaining all this to us. But the institutions, the 501c19s, which United War Veterans Council is, and business have all got to collaborate. And I want to thank the collaborations that J.P. Morgan Chase talked about earlier when Tony Ordinero spoke, how well they're doing with getting the jobs up. Again, It's a collaborative effort. We're willing and looking forward to partnering with the New York State Department of Veterans Affairs in helping solve all our problems to the extent we can. So thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you. In the areas of mental health, how can we move forward? I don't think any group knows better than veterans how well peer-to-peer programs work. It's difficult for a veteran to talk to somebody and share their experiences with somebody that isn't a veteran. We have some of the greatest mental health providers in the country, I believe, in New York State. I've worked with many, I've talked to many. They are incredibly supportive. But peer-to-peer works, and peer-to-peer is a program we continue to put forward. But we also feel that by working through OMH and developing the Safe Talk program, that we can improve our services, certainly at our level and across state agencies. So we're going to mandate for all state agents for the anchor call centers and our DVA staff to be trained in Safe Talk. It's a great opportunity, and it prepares people, to be able to talk to those who are thinking about committing suicide. We've talked about that quite a bit this morning, and it's a good program to move forward with. Next, in the area of legal assistance, we've gotten a lot of help from the law schools in New York State, and this is a great opportunity to partner. And what I'd really like to do is Dean Anthony Crowell is here from New York Law School, and he didn't get a chance to talk about this morning, but we've been working with him on this program, and I'd like to give him the opportunity to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very exciting time, and we at New York Law School are really pleased to have been invited. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank Governor Cuomo. And it's a nice opportunity for us to work with Albany Law School, which we consider, in any event, our upstate partner for many things. And Dean Andrews and I will work to have conversations with all of our colleagues at the 15 law schools throughout the state to really understand the ways in which we can leverage an incredible amount of resources that each of our schools has to assist the veterans community. And that's not just providing direct assistance, but also indirect assistance through helping the veteran service organizations that serve them more broadly. Some of the things that we need to be mindful of is legal education is changing dramatically, and there's a broadening of clinical and experiential learning. So many different law schools have an array of legal clinics that serve various populations in special areas: housing, taxpayer assistance, unemployment issues, wills drafting, things like that. More than just the classic provision of legal services to veterans, which has been about benefits quite often. So it's really looking at the veteran as a client with a broad array of needs. So it's understanding what different clinical opportunities there are in different regions of the state, and making sure that veterans have an understanding of what's available to them through those networks. Similarly, all of the law schools can be thinking about ways to partner with other legal services organizations and nonprofit organizations throughout their areas, as well as mental health providers and social workers. In addition, the state, as many of you may know, now has a mandatory pro bono requirement for everyone who's going to be admitted to the bar. And that opens up new opportunities to provide service, not just through clinical and experiential learning, but through other nonprofit projects. And so you'll have tens of thousands of opportunities in terms of students who are coming from not just New York State law schools, but other law students who are coming here to pass the bar. So there'll be a lot of opportunities to offer a great array of services.
And we greatly appreciate your commitment to this program, so thank you.
Happy to do it.
Next is about service coordination. We work under Executive Order 34, and the reason we're changing, it sounds simple, changing the title of what the program is, but when it was first established, the focus was on returning veterans and their families. If there's nothing else you take away from this afternoon's part, New York is about a lot more veterans than those that are just returning. I mentioned it earlier, our Vietnam era veterans is our largest population of veterans. So we want to make sure that we, our council, focus on all veterans. That's what's important. I talked a little bit about the second bullet, and that is, asking that question of others, have you served? When they, go into a state agency, we should be asking that question. We want to find out who those people are that served. There's a lot of veterans that have moved to New York that may be considered a veteran in another state because that's where their DD-214 went, and we want to account for those veterans, and we want to make sure that they're aware of what the state has and what the federal government has in terms of benefits for them. And then a big one in my mind, again, it sounds simple, but is requiring state agencies to appoint a veteran liaison officer. And that serves many purposes, but probably the most important one is they can come to us and working together, all the different state agencies, we can come up with programs in their specific areas that may better serve veterans, military members, and their families. State benefits. Proposing legislation to remove the Gold Star parent annuity income limitations. This is one, we have a couple Gold Star mothers here today, and their sacrifice is one most of us would never want to ever have to deal with, and this is something that's important that we continue to push forward. I don't know, Mary Ellen, if you have something you'd like to add. But Mary Ellen is here. She introduced herself earlier, but she's a Gold Star mother. Lost a son in the Beirut bombing back in 1983. So thank you.
That our sons, everyone who died in the military, did not have income limitations. And I don't think this bill should have any income limitations. That's all.
We have another Gold Star mother in the front row who I met a couple weeks ago at Hudson Valley Community College. There was a room dedicated in her son's name, and thank you as well for being here today. The next. In fixing the supplemental burial allowance, what we want to do is bring the program basically online with the federal program and make sure that those that apply that are eligible for the benefit get it from the state of New York. Recreation. Everybody wants to have a little fun, right? Working with the parks program, we're developing a lifetime Liberty Pass for qualified veterans with disabilities. And again, this is a program where there is a pass right now, but it takes every 4 years you have to renew the program. And what we want to do is get rid of that every 4-year requirement and make it a lifetime Liberty Pass. And we're also going to work with service organizations around the state. DEC can allow certain free fishing days across the state. We're going to partner with agencies that are willing to establish that. This is one of those things that's, good family opportunity and good for both mental and physical health. And sir, that concludes going through the slides from our discussions at lunch and this morning. And again, I want to thank the governor and the lieutenant governor for hosting this summit today. And again, I appreciate everybody's participation.
I want to take a moment, if I could, to a special thanks to Colonel Eric Hesse, who has done a phenomenal job. If the governor were here, he would say he has been just a tremendous asset to this administration and really a huge part of today's summit. So, Colonel, I want to thank you personally for your work. We're winding down. I'd like to give Dr. Sowers a chance, who traveled from D.C., our nation's capital today, from the VA, maybe to make some remarks, and then we'll close off with the last part of our ceremony.
Sure. So first off, thank you again to everyone that's participating here. It's truly inspiring. I mean, I've traveled around to most of the states, and in some places I'm introducing folks. I'm introducing the VA staff to the State Director of Veterans Affairs. I'm introducing folks to the VA. And here it's clear that, Vince nailed it. This is a combined arms campaign. We learned that in the military. Green Berets, we think we can do it all ourselves, but it needs everybody. It needs an air campaign, ground campaign. It needs multiple MOSs in order to tackle this. So you mentioned this as a societal problem. I call it a societal challenge and really an obligation. Going back to Lincoln's words, to care for those whom hath borne the battle and for the widow and for the orphan. I want to leave you with a couple of figures that really scopes that challenge. Right now in America, there are 1 million uninsured veterans who are eligible for VA health care. They are going into emergency rooms. They are foregoing care. They are going into debt simply because they don't know about the VA. I mentioned 22 vets a day taking their life. Many of them do not know about the incredible facility, and I will 100% agree with the statement of the best mental health care professionals are here in New York. And the reason is I did the midnight shift with them up in Canandaigua, New York, at our Veterans Crisis Line. They've saved 35,000 veterans, active duty, military family in crisis. 35,000. That's like 3 Army divisions that have been saved through people that live here in this great state. But there are many people that don't know about that crisis line, don't know about mental health care. Right now in New York, there's about 900,000 to 1 million veterans. We should be able to save 900,267. We should be specific. And if we go on our current estimates, that means there's 400,000 veterans inside of New York, 400,000 that aren't accessing the benefits that they've earned through their service. Now that's like the entire U.S. Navy or the Air Force hidden inside of New York that simply don't know. And that's where we need help. And it's so inspiring to see this group, this combined arms campaign of state, local, federal, for-profit, nonprofit, VSOs sitting around the table focused on this. The challenge I'd like to put out there, some states going to get there first. And Eric mentioned it. It's good for veterans. It's good for state bottom line. It's good for the pressure. Why not have all veterans in New York be aware of their benefits? Why not have this state, the one that is aggressive and ambitious in the pursuit of justice? I love that. I will use that over and over again. Why not have this state be the first state where all veterans, where we truly honor Lincoln's call to care for those who have borne the battle? I want to thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I want to thank you all, and it is, on behalf of Secretary Shinseki, it is an honor to serve our veterans together. Thank you.
We're going to bring it to a close. We have a special presentation at the very end, but before we do, first of all, I want to take a moment to thank Governor Cuomo, who will join you at his home later on today for the reception. But this is indicative of the leadership that I've seen with the governor. He brings people together. He gets ideas on the table. He makes things happen. And today is really it's a great day because the ideas that have come forth and the work that's been done by veterans and leaders across the state are really going to result in a number of, I think, some very special changes in New York State. And I think it's really a benefit to everybody here. I want to thank all the speakers and all those who attended, those that came in the audience, all the leaders around the table who took time out of their busy day to come. And as I close, 2 things I want to say. First of all, I'm the son of a World War II Navy veteran, and I grew up in a home where I was always told and taught to never take things for granted. That what we have in this country, the freedoms we have, came at a price, came at a sacrifice, and I never have. And a great example today, I stopped back during lunch to the Capitol. There's a large protest going on in the Capitol. It's budget time, protests, and whatever the issue is, it's immaterial. But I think everyone who protests in the state should stop and thank a veteran because they gave them that right to do that. And so it's really a sacrifice that people had. And again, I think the best way to close is to thank all our men and women who serve this country in the service today, those who are veterans, their families, for all they've done for us and all the things that we enjoy, not only in this city, in the Capitol, but across the state and across the country. We want to thank you for all that. And we're going to close with a very special presentation, which I think is very fitting for today. As many of you know, the Medal of Valor may be awarded to any member of the New York State Organized Militia who shall have displayed a conspicuous act of valor, heroism, courage, or gallantry, either in a military or a civilian capacity. The act performed must have been one displaying personal bravery or self-sacrifice, above and beyond a call of duty, so conspicuous as to clearly distinguish that individual for gallantry above all comrades. Additionally, it must have involved personal risk of life or a performance of more than ordinary hazardous service. It is the highest award the state of New York can bestow on a member of our military community, and we are very pleased to announce today that we have a very special member here in this room who's going to receive the Medal of Valor, and that is Sergeant First Class Raymond Presley III, who is here with his wife. And I would just ask you to join me and rise to our feet first for Sergeant Presley, and then we'll bestow the award. Sergeant.
Citation. In the name of the people of the state of New York, by direction of the governor, under the provisions of the Department of Military and Naval Affairs Regulation 672-1, the New York State Medal for Valor for conspicuous gallantry and courage at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty is awarded by the Division of Military and Naval Affairs to Sergeant First Class Raymond Presley III, New York Army National Guard, who distinguished himself by exceptional heroism. On 9 December 2013, Sergeant First Class Presley, with disregard for his personal safety, ensured the survival of Captain Timothy Neild after his vehicle was involved in an accident and caught fire. Captain Neild was knocked unconscious from the impact of the collision and was immobilized as his body caught on fire. Ignoring the flames from the burning vehicle, Sergeant First Class Presley used a fire extinguisher from his vehicle to subdue the fire, assisted in prying the door open, and helped drag Captain Neild's unconscious body to safety before the vehicle exploded. Sergeant First Class Presley then treated Captain Neild for shock and stabilized him until emergency responders arrived. Sergeant First Class Raymond Presley III's utter disregard for his own safety, his extraordinary gallantry, courage, and valor are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the New York Army National Guard, and the military forces of the state of New York.
Some of you may have been watching the news of late. The last couple mornings, there's been a couple stories on about Captain Neild. He's just taking his first steps again. He's on the way to a great recovery. He still has some burns and that type of thing. But we will have a follow-on ceremony where Sergeant Presley gets to be face-to-face with Captain Neild in the future, so Captain Neild can thank him personally in public. But great soldier, and he reflects the quality of many in uniform. Thank you.
No better way to close off today. We will see you at the mansion. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great day. God bless you.